everybody. I'm here today with Belle, who is Miss Universe Singapore. Belle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this conversation because I know that you've got a lot planned for us.
I do. I've got some questions here. I'm glad we're here at the Pan Pacific, enjoying this amazing view.
Gorgeous place.
And we have this opportunity to sit down and have a little chat.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a quick little lightning round, just to have a bit of fun, get a little crazy.
All right.
First question.
First question.
Worst nickname you've ever had?
Bernie.
Bernie.
Yes. Bernie, because my first name is actually Bernadette Belle. And when I went to school, I guess some people just couldn't be bothered to say Bernadette, so they would give me the nickname Bernie instead.
That's not a super bad nickname, to be honest. It's pretty good.
It's actually not that bad, but it's really interesting how that came about. And when I told my parents about it, my mom actually told me that they were going to call me Bernard because they used to think that I was going to turn out as a boy when I was in her womb. So Bernie would have been my actual nickname had I been a boy.
Feminine version of that name sounds so much better.
Yeah.
Way better. Okay, fill in the blank. Kanye West is?
He's human.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Texting or talking?
Definitely talking. 100% talking. I'm not a texter.
I think somebody died whenever people call me on the phone.
What?
I'm like, oh no, something horrible has happened.
Like,
I'm
it's either
oh,
a
no.
scam or somebody died.
Or an emergency.
Oh my gosh, so macabre.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat a sea cucumber?
You know what? I don't like all these labels, like vegetarian, veganism. You know, I just think you should be who you want to be at that very moment and eat whatever you want to eat. Like, sometimes it changes, that's all right. So it's not wrong. Not wrong.
It's not wrong. So if a vegetarian wants to have an oddly shaped sea animal, you know, whatever.
Personally, I feel like there's ebbs and flows to everything, so yeah, it's all right.
First celebrity crush?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay. Is it okay for anyone to post inspirational quotes on social media?
Hey, I do that. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but you're you. Some people do it, and I'm kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Everybody wants an opinion. If they're gonna borrow off of someone, then sure, why not?
So it's okay?
It's fine.
Okay. I obviously disagree.
I'm very forgiving.
Yeah, I'm like, we need to take them off, take them down. Would you want to live forever?
No, absolutely not.
Why?
I think it's really nice that there are different phases in life. Everything's transient, and it just keeps things interesting.
PewDiePie, talented or got lucky and rode the wave?
Okay, you're asking me this assuming I actually watch his videos. I don't, but I know who he is. So I'm gonna say he rode the wave and he was really smart about it, because if you can amass that much people in a multitude of demographics all over the world, then you gotta be doing something right.
Correct answer was got lucky and rode the wave. But you were like halfway.
We can talk about that.
Can you catch with your non-dominant hand?
Yeah.
You're right-handed, that's your left hand.
Yes, I'm right-handed. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh. Well done. You're also not a liar. That's great. Okay, let's move on to the main part of the interview.
All right.
The real questions. Since becoming Miss Universe Singapore, what's been the biggest change for you?
The biggest change, I tapped into a group of people that was outside of my circle. So usually whenever you're meeting somebody, it's because it's a referral or from your work. Whereas now there's a lot of people that reach out to me from all over the world. And I think that's just, it's so enlightening to expand your peripheral view.
So are these people having just really positive changes on your life?
Yeah, I mean, people that I do not know personally, complete strangers that would message me and send me support and kindness, and out of no act on my part to do anything for them, it's just willingly coming out. And I feel like, wow, that's really impactful, that's really powerful to be able to receive that kind of support.
Is this something that you've always wanted to do? Become Miss Universe Singapore?
It's not something that I've always wanted to do because I actually grew up in a very traditional household. And so even when I started working in entertainment, my parents were quite conservative in their views. And so they would tell me, maybe, you should do accounting and finance, which is something that I graduated with. It was never the kind of conversation I had with my family, so it was never an option in the past.
That's a cut. Since you did decide to go down the path that's more creative in the entertainment industry, have you felt that pressure to do something that was more structured, a little more conservative, less risky?
Absolutely, 100%, especially in Singapore, right? Because, since 56 years of its founding, we've got really great architects, bankers, people that work in the tech industry, in the medical field. So those professions are propelled and pushed further and taught from a very young age locally that this is what we should be striving for in terms of success. And I feel like there's a shadow that's being casted on the creative industry. So yes, I obviously see my classmates that go out and do all these quote unquote successful roles. And I do sometimes feel like maybe I'm missing out on something. So definitely, a play of the mind whenever you're in something that is more freelance based.
So what is it that keeps you going down the path of this creative profession?
I think collaboration, because whenever you're going for a job, a casting, you're in production, you are constantly meeting a lot of different creatives, and you see how dedicated they are at their work, you see how well they do their trade. And I think there is a lot of passion from within to allow them to keep showing up. And that has, made me realize that I'm in a very blessed position to be able to stand with creatives that are talented in their own right. So that really keeps me going.
Do you have any advice for some of the young artists here in Singapore that are maybe having to deal with some of the same pressures that you had as a young artist?
Always take time to step back and reflect on what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, it has to make sense for you. You always have to know your why. And I know, Simon Sinek, you gotta start with why. But it really does matter to know what you're doing this for, who are you doing it for, and at the end of the day, it has to be for yourself.
Speaking of why do you think that you're the best person to be Miss Universe Singapore?
Well, I believe that apart from the fact that I work a lot in production, so I'm very comfortable in front of the camera, and that definitely helps in terms of going on stage, trying to project a certain image, be confident, fun, and loud. Apart from all of that, I think I am an immigrant that came into Singapore when I was 11 years old. And essentially, Singapore is a land of immigrants. We are multicultural, we're multiracial, and we're multi-religious. And the fact that there's so much diversity, there's so much different color, and it really does become the identity of Singapore. In essence, my identity is very close to the true essence of what Singapore really is. It's traditional, but then it's got a sparkle of modern flair, right? There's a lot of high, tall buildings, and a lot of people dress in a way that they're expressive, they love fashion, and that's essentially what this beauty pageant is all about. Is to tell a story, to be able to show who you are, your personality, but then to also go back to its roots and its heritage.
It's definitely hard to deny the modernity of Singapore, and it's definitely one of those places that just kind of throws itself into the future. As we go into that future, there's definitely those that probably view beauty pageants as a more antiquated tradition that degrades women in certain ways.
Right.
What do you say to those people?
I understand where they're coming from, because pageantry has had that reputation back in the day where if a woman comes out on stage and they have their bio, their profile, you see, the measurements of their waist and their body proportions, and that defines what beauty is. And I think they've amassed a certain audience for that. And coming into this competition now, it has to evolve in order to be modern in its times. And so some people, though, want to see that same format. So I understand why other people looking in will realize, hey, it's still, a little bit, in a way, degrading because it focuses too much on the outward appearance rather than giving the woman a real conscious voice throughout the competition. Because essentially what it is by the time you get top 20, top 10, that is when you start hearing the candidates speak. So in essence, you don't really hear who they are from the very beginning. And from the beginning, it has to be all about the aesthetics. So I understand why there's this play of, oh, it's all about beauty. But having lived through this myself and being a contestant, I realized that it's so much more to that. That is really the tip of the iceberg. What it means to be a Miss Universe for your country means collaboration with others, to be able to propel creatives to wear their outfit with pride, to be able to speak about your own story and showcase your own personality in different avenues, and you really define that narrative. And not unless you've lived through it yourself and put yourself in their shoes, I really think it's a different perspective that you gain.
Do you think there's any changes that could be made to these types of competitions that would address some of those concerns?
I would love it if we could start having women speak freely in the competition from the very beginning. Getting backstage footage would be amazing because essentially what you're really seeing is just the finals. So our competition this year is starting on the 7th of May, and the finals is going to be on the 16th of May US time. And because there's that gap, and you don't really see what's going on behind the scenes, you don't really see the woman's personality behind closed doors. And I think it's this whole idea of reality TV. I would love to see a little bit more character that goes into it before the final show.
What are some other misconceptions that you think people have of these types of competitions?
I think some people still think that women are out to get each other. And that may be true for certain candidates, but it's definitely not true for the majority of us. So we actually have a group chat where all the different candidates from all over the world gather together, and we just, kind of chat with each other every now and then. And what I really find so heartwarming is whenever somebody voices out a concern, there's so many women that come back and give them the support that they need, and they come out feeling better. And these are women that have never met each other. So again, back to the whole receiving love from strangers, I think that's really beautiful. And so I know that it is a competition, and there is some element of pitting you against one another. But as far as I'm concerned, it's more about relationship building. It's more about support. And that's one of the misconceptions people have, is that we're out to get each other, when that shouldn't be the case at all.
Got to be careful who's doing the reality side of this new idea you have, because that's going to focus more on the claws coming out, I feel, as opposed to the other part.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's like what's good for commercial value on TV, right? But
that's what content is these days. So it's up to the viewers also to try and look beyond that, right?
So are you telling me that you would rather just see the final view instead of the behind the scenes cut?
I'm not a massive reality TV fan, to be honest. I would rather see more of almost like a documentary style of what's going on, and have that be played out in more of a digestible series throughout the course of what's going on.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah.
You know what? You've polished it even further.
I'll make sure that everybody here will sign an NDA, and we can make sure that I get a percentage off of that idea.
You're going to be the producer.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll just produce it.
Done.
Valerie will join in, co-producer. Another co-producer yourself. Easy. What are the ways that you want to use this platform to help inspire other people?
Because this is such a visible competition, at the end of the day, just stepping into the platform, being who you are, comfortable in that, meaning, as simple as dressing up and really bringing in those Asian elements to try and represent better, I think that speaks volumes in itself. Sometimes people are looking for answers to create policies or, do something big, but what you can really do is just be true to yourself. I know it sounds really cheesy, but at the end of the day, just being able to show up and represent other people and understand that you are there beyond just your own identity. You are stepping into yourself, but stepping into yourself for others to follow through.
How have you been inspired, or what has inspired you?
What really inspires me are the people that go against the grain, the people that don't just follow suit. They actually take a step back and figure out what they really want to do. And in essence, it's living a whole life if you know what your true identity is and you fight for that right.
Is there anybody in particular that's inspired you? One of these rebellious individuals?
I really like Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love her for the very fact that she's a multifaceted individual. We all know her in politics, right? But she's actually also a lawyer before she got into politics. She's a woman of color, so going into politics is in its own right very difficult. But despite that, she was able to, this is getting into American politics, but really sway the votes in favor of Democrat. I mean, I'm not really into politics per se, but I definitely read up on one of her books. So she's also a self-help author, but she's also a romance novel author in a pseudonym. So I just love that she's so interesting. There's so many different things to talk about her, and she's not categorized in one industry.
No, she's great. Yeah, she's definitely somebody that's gone against the grain and really kind of won, made some positive changes. You're originally from the Philippines.
Yes.
And you grew up here.
Yes.
Now, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be Filipinos that are going to claim you as one of their Filipino competitors. They're going to consider you to be from the Philippines in the beauty pageant.
I mean, I understand that, right? Because in essence, I was born, raised. My parents were also born and raised in the Philippines. I was there from a very young age, so a lot of my roots do stem from there. And I actually accept that because when you're Filipino, you're kind of Filipino at heart, and there are different parts of you that really root you back into where you grew up in. So I think that's a pretty normal reaction as well. But in saying that, I am very Singaporean too, right? There's a multi-level scenario going on here. I am proud to represent Singapore. This is where I really grew up in my formative years. As I said, I was here since 11 years old, and now that I'm turning 27.
So young.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So young. But there are a lot of years to really understand what this culture and this heritage is all about. And I've grown very fond of who Singapore has become. It's a very young country, but it's got a lot of stuff going on and a lot of good things that they've done right. So, in saying that, my heart goes back to the people, the Filipino people. But where I'm at right now is for Singapore.
She's Singaporean, guys.
Oh yeah,
Lay off.
I'm Singaporean.
So what is it that makes you Singaporean?
What makes me really Singaporean is the fact that I am the modern day woman, but I'm steeped in traditions. My parents have been a very family-oriented household. And so what that really means is, sometimes when I go out for, school lunch, instead of having food with my friends in the canteen, my mom would come over in a van. She would cook me a really nice hot meal because she wouldn't want my food to be cold. And so during lunch, I would literally hop out, get into the van with my mom, and we would have lunch together. And I feel like that, in essence, is what makes Singapore Singapore, is its heart for family. The fact that it's so important to be able to spend time through food. I mean, we all know about the hawker culture here, right?
Food's a big deal here.
It's huge. And you know what? I'm actually reading this book called The 50 Successes of Singapore or something by Timothy Ko. And in that book, it talks about the different elements that add up together to shape why Singapore is so successful. And one of those things is the hawker culture.
I didn't know that you could relate the hawker culture to the Singapore's overall success, because you attribute the success of Singapore to like these smart government decisions with regards to finance and money and import, export, and blah, blah, blah. But the Hawker Center.
Yes, the Hawker Center.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that you go to the Hawker Center and you get so much cultural diversity in one place. So again, it's back to this idea of the social fabric being multicultural, multiracial. You go to a hawker center, you can get Chinese food, you can get Malay food, you can get Indian food, you can get Western food, you can get congee, soybean, anything, fruit. And I love that the fact that all these different people can relate to that allows people to be in sync with everybody else. It allows them to be comfortable and have their kopi and just chill out. And the fact that the hawker center culture also has reasonable prices because it's heavily subsidized by the government gives people incentive to integrate in places like that.
When you say that, that makes a lot of sense now. How the
Yeah.
hawker centers are almost this microcosm of how the country functions in a way. And I never thought about that before.
Yeah, and it all boils down to food at the end of the day. We love it so much here in Singapore.
Outside of this competition, as well as being active in the entertainment industry, what are your other passions?
You know, during the lockdown, I mean, as everybody did, they really sat inside and really had to ask themselves the hard questions of what makes them happy. There's a lot of time for reflection, and what really grounded me during that time was music. So I actually bought myself a DJ console and I started mixing some songs just to kind of get my daily movement in and dance to the beat, but also just to be happy again, to relive a different experience.
What's your DJ name?
It's gonna be Ananda.
Ananda? DJ Ananda?
It's not gonna be DJ Ananda, it's just gonna be Ananda. It's kind of like
Oh.
Satori.
Okay. Are there any other passion projects that you're working on, movements that you're a part of?
I actually collaborated with It's Raining Raincoats.
Okay.
And it's an organization here in Singapore that focuses on migrant workers. So my advocacy is actually to champion migrant workers and minority groups. It's really important to give them the kind of support that they need. So It's Raining Raincoats created a peer-to-peer literacy program. So that meant I was tied to a worker and I got on a call with them to teach them English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so during the lockdown, we were remotely interacting with each other, and I helped him with his written and oral use of English so that it could help them in the workforce. So apart from that, It's Raining Raincoats has been really great in trying to champion, higher morale and help them with case-to-case legislative aid. So sometimes they're coming in, they don't really get the support that they need. For example, if they get injured, what happens then? Because they're in labor work, right? So it's really nice to be a part of an organization that not just does fundraising, volunteerism, but also helps them legislatively.
And it puts you in a situation where you're able to learn a lot kind of about what these guys need
Yeah.
that they're not getting as well, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I know that COVID has been really difficult on everybody, more so that particular group, because I did say there was a mass outbreak due to the dormitories and the living situation they were in. But having said that, there was so much support that came through after that happened, because there was so much coverage over it. So coverage is a big deal, right? To have representation and to see that part of the story makes a huge difference. I actually started Miss Universe Singapore as a finalist in 2019, so before COVID happened. And even then, I was already championing migrant workers. So it's really nice to see the level of attitude and the support that comes through after this case has happened. I mean, it's not a good situation, but there's definitely a silver lining to it.
Better late than never
Yeah.
scenario, right?
Yeah.
And have you been able to actually spend a fair bit of time with some of the migrant workers and kind of get to know them? And
I would say that it's really intimate doing the peer-to-peer literacy call, because what you're really doing is getting to know that person. So what he would do was he would send me his like emails, for example, and then we would get on a call, and then we would go through some of the things that he would write, and I would tell him how he can explore the written use of English better. But more than that, it's also just getting to know the person. How is your day? What's happening? How does it work in the construction sites? And he also gets to inquire about my life. So I really get to know them at that point. But more than that, I also do a lot of volunteer work. So It's Raining Raincoats would do, Chinese bazaars. They would do donations.
Okay.
And we would give them out to migrant workers in special occasions. So we would hold kind of like these fair bazaars, like vintage bazaars. And we would also have events where they could go on the flyer.
Okay.
And they could experience a different part of Singapore just to allow them to boost their morale, right?
Okay,
In a situation where they came out of it so hard.
Yeah.
With so much uncertainty, it's really nice to kind of get them to do things like that. So yeah, I do get to play a lot with them in terms of, kicking a soccer ball around, dancing with them, doing TikTok videos, handing out items for them to take home in the vintage bazaar. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Obviously, you're very busy, I can tell, but I do have one more thing that I have for you to do. I've been wanting to do this for a while, where I ask a question based off of a Hollywood film scenario.
Okay.
You ready? Here's your first one. An asteroid is heading to Earth. You're the Prime Minister of Singapore. You can't stop it. This thing's gonna hit.
Okay.
Everybody's gonna die. What do you say to everyone before heading into your bunker?
Oh my God. What? We are strong, united people, and we should stand firm and hold our loved ones close and dear.
Asteroid's coming. It's almost there. Everyone's gonna be dead.
Slow walk.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can say.
No, there's
Okay.
really nothing at that point.
You have fallen in love with both a werewolf and a vampire.
Oh,
But you can only choose one.
yeah.
Who do you choose and why?
Oh my gosh. I would go with the werewolf
Why?
because I don't like the whole love is eternal thing. And,
Okay.
if you're a werewolf, you don't really hurt anybody. If you're a vampire, you need to, benefit off of other people's demise, essentially.
It's kind of how they roll.
Yeah.
I mean, but werewolf once a month gets pretty gross. They're out there. They're mutilating.
Okay,
eating.
fine, but for the most part, they're
Yeah.
not doing it every day. So, like, once a month to, like,
Werewolf boyfriend has lower body count than vampire boyfriend.
yes. And the fact that the werewolf gets to roam around in nature, and then you can get out of your monkey mind and you can just get animalistic, I think that really is.
Werewolf boyfriend
Yeah.
would be the perfect way to get animalistic.
Yeah. I mean, in the sense that if you're an animal, you don't really overthink too much, right?
Yeah. A werewolf boyfriend would be warm,
Yeah.
whereas a vampire
cuddly.
boyfriend, he's undead.
Basically
slash
a
dead,
corpse.
so he's cold.
He's a corpse.
You can't cuddle with a vampire boyfriend.
No, that's not nice.
Yeah, that was from Twilight.
Yeah. I got it once.
Obviously- did you
Once,
get-
yes,
you
I
get
did.
that it was
I
from
did.
Twilight?
The moment you
Okay.
said-
A cruise ship has sunk due to an iceberg. You float on a door as the love of your life slowly freezes to death
Oh
in the
my
water.
God.
If you let him on the door,
Yes.
you each have a 50% chance of survival.
Yeah.
But if he stays in the water, he for sure dies and you for sure live.
Uh-huh.
What do you do?
50%. What the heck? Is that even a question?
I mean, but he really wants you to live. Like, that's why he's in the water.
Yeah, but do you really love somebody if you let him do that?
Oh, this is the test for
Yeah.
that love.
So then you go down in the water with him, and then he'll realize that, okay, there's no point, so he'll go back up to the
Oh,
door.
would you do that? Would you just go
Yeah.
in the water with him?
I would go into the water with him, and then he's gonna realize, okay, she's not gonna budge. So might as well just go on the door half-half.
You're a true romantic.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Jack, I'm sorry. I found the door first.
No, because
Sorry,
it's
Jack.
my door.
You never should have been on the boat in the first place, Jack. This is on you.
You could have lived.
Okay, last one.
Yeah.
A small alien crash lands in your backyard. He's ugly, but well behaved. Do you keep him as a pet and feed him candy, or do you call the authorities?
E.T. go home. well-behaved alien. I would keep him as a pet, yeah, for sure. Let's get experimental.
Okay. The issue there is, though, he did get you sick.
He got me sick?
Elliot gets sick
Oh.
at the end.
It's been a while since I watched
because
it.
E.T.'s sick, because he's not on his home planet.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah, but then if you call the authorities, they're probably going to kill E.T.
But the thing is, he just had a fever, so it's okay.
No, I get that. I do
Yeah.
feel that E.T., we don't really know what his agenda was. I feel like he was kind of like a baby alien,
Yeah.
and maybe his parents weren't so nice. And maybe we should have sent them a message.
What kind of message are you thinking?
Like, you come here, we're going to kill your baby.
Oh my... Are you gonna massacre them? Maybe?
Well,
Is
the
that
alien.
kind
If
of
it's an alien that's out there,
conversation
if it's an
we're
alien that's there
having? No, you're gonna declare
to
war.
eat all of your candy,
No, you're terrible.
I'm a horrible person.
Yeah.
I'm looking out for Earth.
Gosh, so you're gonna tell authorities and you're gonna send a message.
We got to get the alien out of the backyard.
That's scary. You're scary.
I think that's the end of the interview.
Make it rain.
Thank you so much, Belle.
Thank you.
That was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool, great, awesome. Good stuff.
Oh, Jay's work.
Cool. What are we doing now? Who's in charge of this thing? Thank you so much, Belle.
Thank you.
That was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool, great, awesome. Good stuff.
Oh, Jay's work.
Cool. What are we doing now? Who's in charge of this thing?